are signed up to speak. So I just want to ensure that we don't run too late over and be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you all who are here in person, and we'll go ahead and get started. As per the policy, without a quorum, we will not take action on any items, but we have quite a few informational action items that we can start with. And so I don't think that will be a problem. I welcome all of you to today's meeting. This meeting is being live streamed via YouTube, and so if there is anyone that is watching live on YouTube, thank you all for joining in. And for those of you in attendance today, there is Spanish language interpretation available, and I'll invite the interpreter to come up to the podium and make an announcement in Spanish.
Hello, buenas tardes. Las personas que necesiten escuchar esta junta en español, pasen por favor a la mesa de aquí atrás para que le proporcionemos un aparato para escucharla. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you. We'll start with a roll call.
Okay. Carla Gurgiello.
Here.
Joanne Harris is absent. Josie Martinez is absent. Andrea Sanchez Muniz is absent. Mary Ann Valdez Hernandez.
Here.
Fernanda Cardenas is absent. Paul Stahl is absent. Marcy Ince is absent. Beth Graham.
Here. Just in time.
Judy Cruz is absent. And Jaspreet Kaur.
Here.
Well,
Thank you. Let us begin with the silent meditation. Let's take a moment to focus on the items that we're going to be talking about and considering for today. Okay, thank you all. We'll skip the approval of minutes and move to public comments. Just as a reminder, the protocol for public comments, those of you who have appeared in person will share your comments first. If there is anyone who did not sign a sheet that looks like this when you walked in, please let Edward know and we can get you signed up. We have, right now we have 9 folks that have signed up to speak. And maybe we have 10 people that are signed up for speak. We also have comments that were submitted online, and Nicholas will read those aloud. And then, as a reminder, citizens to be heard will be given 3 minutes to speak, and Nicholas has a timer that will be visible to you from the podium. So the first person signed up is Delia Trimble.
Good afternoon. I'm Delia Trimble. I'm president of the Friends of Las Palmas Library, have been for 11 years. So I'm very happy to be able to provide some comments today. We were here a couple of months ago, and the situation was a lot different. But thanks to the library and to our donors, HEB Foundation and Congressman Castro, additional funds have been identified. That's what we were told at the community meeting last week on the 15th. And now we're getting some of the items restored that were previously removed. And for that, we're very grateful. And I wanted to be sure and let all of you know that, of course, we advocate for Las Palmas Library. That's the community library that's so important to the people in that area. But having the solar shade system for the glass enclosed meeting room restored is wonderful. having the existing meeting room, support and storage spaces restored. That's great. And landscaping, irrigation, and decorative lighting restored. Great. It's gonna look beautiful. We're all looking forward to having such a wonderful resource restored to the community, hopefully early next year. So again, I'm just wanting to provide my thanks to the library for all of your actions in getting the additional funds identified, and for the board in having this as an action item today to restore the items that were cut previously. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trumbull, and we're also very appreciative to Councilman Castro's office and to HEB. The HEB Foundation was not involved in that donation, but fingers crossed they will be in a future one for libraries. Next is Velma, and I'm sorry, Velma.
Peña.
Pena, thank you.
Good afternoon, Velma Peña. I'm also with the president of the Westwood Square Neighborhood Association and also part of the West Side Neighborhood Association's Coalition. And I'm here also to come and thank you all for bringing all these things back to the table, and also for having that meeting at the Memorial Library and showing us all the things that you showed us on that day, and also for the mail-outs that you sent to the community. I think that was great that you all did that. And I also want to thank our trustee for for communicating with us. So again, thank you all for being supportive of Las Palmas Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jay Rios. I need a different pair of glasses to get the roads.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesusita Rios. I am also part of Westwood Square Neighborhood Association, but I am a lifelong member of the Las Palmas Library community. I live there. My kids have gone there. I went there as a child, and I enjoyed being able to have a library where I could partake of reading. I really appreciate the extra funds that were given to our library in order to facilitate and to beautify it, because it was in dire need of a lot of remodeling and upgrading. I do appreciate that the solar shading is back, and that also the irrigation and landscaping is back. It is something that our neighborhood and our community will be proud of, especially our children and our grandchildren, because now I have grandchildren in the area that also go there and study. So thank you very much, and I hope that everything is voted on and that we enjoy many, many years of this new and improved Las Palmas Library with a lot of pride from our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, before I announce the next name, I think we have established a quorum, so can we redo the roll call just to establish where in the minutes this happened? Perfect timing from Judy.
Carla Gurgiello,
Here.
Joanne Harris,
Here.
Josie Martinez is absent, Andrea Muniz,
Here.
Marianne Valdez Hernandez,
Here.
Fernanda Cardenas is absent, Paul Stahl is absent, Marcy Ince is absent, Beth Graham,
Here.
Judy Cruz,
Here.
Jaspreet Kaur.
Here.
For chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next is Penny, next on the list is Penny King.
Hi, I'm Penny King. I live on the east side of San Antonio. I'm here regarding the pause for the program to have armed cops inside of the Central Library. I just came with some reminders. It's a privilege to be in y'all's positions and to be in these spaces. It's a privilege, for me even to be in this space and to be able to make it. And I would like to ask that you guys continue to understand that the community needs to be involved in these decisions. And as you have this 2-month pause, that there is an actual intentional plan to include the community, as well as to have and share the metrics in which the research that you guys are going to be collecting over these next few months are shared and communicated with responses from community members. I think it's important that we not only look at who's in this room, but also look at who we are representing in each of these spaces that the communities, that the library communities like stand in, and who represents and who comes in for resources. And just to end it off, I think it's a poor decision to continue keeping the program. I believe that there are other ways in which we can initiate harm reduction tactics inside of the library and within our communities for each other. And I think that's what we should be centering, especially coming to the reality of where we stand in America right now, right? And even in San Antonio. And to ignore that, I think would be very naive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Next is Hadi Pacheco.
Hello, I appreciate you remembering the pronunciation, appreciate that. I'm here to say again, as a library patron and a D4 resident, I do not want armed cops in our libraries. And also as you move towards the assessment phase of this program, I'm asking that you take a pause first and include some Q&A sessions for the community. We deserve a voice also in this process. We deserve to know what the metrics are, what your measurements for success are, but also I would like it to be acknowledged that there's research that there's a correlation between high heat and increasing crime. So is that going to be included? I know this program was done during the colder months and our mildest months of the year. So I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, we have less crime. Well, yeah, this is also a contributor to crime. So that's another thing that I want to notice. Safety and crime are complex issues, and there are so many things that contributed to it. We are in a housing crisis. We are in an opioid crisis. We are having a climate crisis. All of these things contribute. So why are we trying to use one thing, intimidation, and weaponizing cops to intimidate patrons? To answer that question, I ask y'all to use multiple venues, including harm reduction. What unmet needs can the library help meet for its patrons? What unmet needs may have contributed to these safety issues? Please ask yourselves that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pacheco. Next, we have Roberto Levar.
Hello. I'm Roberto Levar. I live one street over. I'm a District 7 resident here with my family, my wife, and our youngest son. And I wanted to echo that request also to you about removing armed police. I know this is in a pause, but removing armed police from the library. You know, I kind of wanted to, offer my support for Las Palmas Library and the good work mujeres here have been doing and pushing for that. But at the core of that issue, I see it linked to this push for armed police in our libraries, and it's that we've kind of normalized thinking of our communities as being disposable, right? I would argue that Las Palmas was in that predicament because it was on the west side, because it was predominantly Latinos and people of color and marginalized people there, that it was thought, well, we can do away with these, they don't really need it, right? Because we treat our communities as disposable. We see that we are in a housing crisis, we are in a climate crisis that compounds on all of these complex issues, and to only think that we have, to coin her phrase, one tool to fix this is naive. I would argue it's criminal. You know, we see how the houseless folks are treated in our communities here by the police, and how disposable we think of each other in these ways that we can just use intimidation and carceral processes to combat very complex issues. And I think it does only damage to the library systems to create that era of intimidation. It creates more boundaries that keep folks of mixed immigration status, of all types of issues there, and marginalized communities out of the libraries. And I think the libraries are the last haven for hope and equitable solutions for our communities. And anything that we put in place that is going to keep any of our citizens, whether they're housed or not, whether they have immigration status or not, that separates them from that knowledge that exists in these buildings, I think is criminal. And I would beg y'all to really consider other options, other harm reduction options for organizations that are already existing. Corazon, Tent, the trans group working with youth. There are people doing the good work that don't have to have a piece on them. We know this is Texas, but there are other solutions that don't have to resolve into brandishing firearms in the public space. And so I'd really like you all to sit with that and really kind of, de corazon, really think about that because I think we normalize.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LeVar. Next, we have Melissa Woodall.
Hello, I'm a San Antonio resident in District 9, and today I'm asking this Board of Trustees to, one, commit to transparency about the assessment process of the pilot program, what you're measuring and how you're going about that, who you're consulting with, and listen to community members and give weight to our concerns, include us in this process, and invest in alternative health and safety solutions instead of just sending armed cops into public community spaces. The mission of San Antonio Public Library is to change lives through the transformative power of information, imagination, and ideas. I know y'all want to be a responsive organization that meets community needs in accessible ways. Please listen to your community now. If this Board of Trustees decides to have armed cops patrol libraries, it would multiply barriers to access instead of removing them. Fear of police violence, fear of weapons, immigration status, housing status, mental illness, addiction, all of these issues are present in the populations that you aim to serve. By inviting armed officers into libraries without meaningful community collaboration, you are driving away and endangering people who need the resources the most. You're degrading public trust and making libraries less effective at y'all's own mission. You're creating barriers that separate the community from the necessary resources that y'all provide. To the people you serve and invest in alternative harm reduction solutions such as in-house social workers and professionals trained in advocacy and de-escalation. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Molly.
So I learned quite a few resources that you have in your catalog system, and I'm going to read to you some of those resources. You have really great books to read. So what is a library? Library 101. A building, a room containing collection of books, a place set apart from society to allow people to read, view, listen, study. Your main purpose is to serve the society to the record of human thoughts, ideas, and expressions by making them available to all persons. That lesson of tradition and thirst of creative learning does not happen in a police state of fear and intimidation where a person is searched and frisked at a cop's discretion at any given moment. Julian Gold, professor of sociology at the University of Chicago, author of Patterns of Empire, says in a documentary called Power, which is airing on Netflix, says to demand unqualified compliance, which is what the police demand, goes against what the majority of the Americans believe our society to be, which is a democratic society where you don't have to be subjected to essentially authoritarian commands. You are about to make a decision that if you continue to subject the library to a police state of affairs, you are not only killing any potential path to creative minds and brilliance of all forms, you are delivering a society right into the hands of an ATM form of aggression, which means that the cops will ask, tell, or make you obey
whatever he or she tells you to do, regardless of the abuse the police projects on you. Is that the new world of learning that this board wants to foster and aspire to? Is the board trying to put a chokehold on learning? Are we no longer free in this country? The library is supposed to provide an escape from society, not a deliverance right into a baton where police violence cuts off the very pulse of human life with their use of deadly force because an average officer thought that it was an appropriate situation to use such force, thereby spilling blood on your carpets. Our police union successfully bankrupted our city budget, getting awarded nearly $1 billion, and you want to give them an additional 100 grand. You want to give them an additional 100 grand to continue to promote their use of intimidation tactics. 100 grand to intimidate people and promote their violence. Is that seriously where you want to take the library into? Because it speaks volumes that this board may want to pay 100 grand to shoot, kill, and spill blood in our libraries. You are literally contracting people to kill at will.
That's 3 minutes.
I learned, I really.
Thank you, Molly. That's the end of the, at the end of the
That's
time.
3
Super
minutes.
quick.
To be
Frederick
fair to all of
Douglass,
the citizens that
super
are
quick.
signed up.
Frederick says power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did.
I'm sorry
and it
to
never
cut
will.
you off, but we have to,
I know it's
keep the
difficult to
same.
take. It's very
Yes.
difficult to take.
yes, thank you. Mr. Alberto Pena?
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alberto Pena. I live here on B7, and the reason I'm here today is because of the simple fact that violence can only be answered to, not prevented, when in contact with more violence. Ultimately, the role of police is to respond to crime, not to prevent it. And we know throughout social work, vast research, studies, and lived life experience of many that the true solutions to crime is education, resources, community, and above all, love and knowledge. Ultimately, when we have police officers in our libraries, we allow people that may have hidden complaints obfuscated by the system's legal code, hidden complaints from citizens about violence of that particular officer. We might be facing an officer who may have not been well trained, who now has a firearm and who is more likely to shoot a bystander than any invader or intruder or to protect people in that way. Statistically and historically, we view this. Sadly, it is with grief that I come here to speak about that because in our libraries, as we've seen, recent tragedy has struck. And I understand that it may be tempting to force upon, in the face of violence, more violence and secure that, because we see it as a deterrent. But I would like to remind the board that although it may seem safer, it is not. And that to properly respond, we need to make our communities and our libraries hard targets. We need to invest in ourselves, in advanced security measures, in magnetic doors. There is solutions here, as so many of my other friends have stated, even in social work, even in other roles that people can fill to de-escalate or to remove the threats altogether. Ultimately, statistically, the threat of a rogue shooter in any one of our libraries is very low, but it is something we all must take in mind. It is with that responsibility that we must view the options available to us. And to jump immediately to giving a man with a gun access to our libraries and to our people, not knowing of his record, not knowing of his acts or his deeds, I think that would be, well, preemptive. That would be all.
Thank you. And next we have Linda Orange. And if anyone else came here today with the intent to speak but has not yet signed up, this is the last call to let us know.
Good afternoon. Linda Orange, Friends of Las Palmas and Memorial Library on the west side. I do want to thank everybody that we were able to work through our problems. Yes, it seemed impossible, and yes, we were able to talk about it and get through it. So we do appreciate that. 10 years ago or so, we had no friends groups on the west side. But now we not only have friends, but we also have a lot of people who belong to the neighborhood associations. So this area is learning how to get through the system to get what we want. I know that not everybody is going to be happy with outcomes, but we are grateful and thankful that we were able to get through this. It's not over yet. We still have our art section to do. But yes, we are grateful that we were able to work through this. And I hope other groups continue their process in trying to make a stand and see how we can better the library system. It's a very powerful place, and it's the only place where some people can use computers and acquire new knowledge. So thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Orange. Next, we have comments that were submitted online. These will also be submitted for 3 minutes. And Nicholas, will you read those for us?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, maybe up to the podium. The microphone. Thank you.
The first comment from Albert, referencing agenda item number 1. No cops in the library. $70K for an overpriced doorstop that doesn't even work isn't a good deal. There are better grassroots, community-based ways to keep our spaces safe. We protect us. The police in South Texas have proven time and time again to be ineffective during emergencies. From Jessica Cardenas. Vote no. Police get a huge slice of the city budget. They harass peaceful citizens, and library money could go to more positive programming that helps the community surrounding the library. From Jake Wilcox. It is my understanding that the Board of Trustees is considering funding police presence in San Antonio public libraries with $70,000 of city funds, despite the fact that SAPD already receives $572,300,000 in funding from the city. It is my opinion that this $70,000 would be much better put to use paying for the hosting of courses, improving facilities, or purchasing more books. Police presence in libraries does not make them safer and is likely to lead to more instances of police brutality. Don't waste the money on police, invest in your community. From Anthony Festello. We do not want armed SAPD officers in the library. SAPD is known to violate citizens' rights, and they are ill-trained. Placing armed SAPD officers in the library is uncalled for. We will boycott the library if you bring cops in. You must include the public before the assessment phase begins. From Laura C. Libraries are meant to provide knowledge and resources for the people that need them. Please keep armed cops out of the central library. We cannot continue to look to police officers as our pillars of safety for our survival, especially given their history and rapidly declining credibility. There must be other ways of creating true safety for the community without police presence. From Aiden Tompkins. The program to have armed police in libraries would be counterproductive. Psychology students are taught that weapons increase aggression and that we want to read in peace. From Sarah Johnson. I'm completely opposed to the presence of armed police in the libraries. Library accessibility would be decimated, particularly for marginalized communities who both depend on the library for a variety of its resources and are simultaneously the most likely to be criminalized. Police and SAPD have records of disproportionately targeting disabled folks and people of color. Call this whatever you want, but in practice, this is plain old Jim Crow. From James Finley. Please keep police out of the library. We have seen from other communities that the presence of police officers does not increase safety for library patrons or for staff. Their presence undermines both the mission of libraries and the public benefit that our library serves. I'm an English teacher, and libraries are my favorite spaces in the world. My 8-year-old and I go to one of the SAPL branches nearly every week, and we visited nearly all of them by this point. We will not visit libraries where there are cops stationed. Please hear the community saying that we don't want cops in libraries. and please preserve what makes libraries special. Thank you. From Eric Dethman. I don't see the issue I'm writing about on the agenda page for the San Antonio Library Board published agenda, so hopefully 3 suffices. There is an unlisted item at consideration, a pilot program to place armed police officers inside local libraries. The fact that this is unpublished is a sign that it should die now, before damage is done. Libraries should not be places that encourage shadows and obliterate the light of truth. Mandating an armed police presence in our libraries goes against everything a library stands for. It also goes against the one positive program that SAPD had presented to the nation, the officers who handle the mental health cases in a humane and informed way. For the library and the police authorities to ignore this most positive advancement to protect and serve is the utmost of ignorance. While libraries across the nation have adapted and changed with times to provide no low-cost rentals of essential and non-essential items, simple show how out of touch our libraries have become. If there is a library board member in favor of an armed police officer in our libraries, then may they tender their resignation in recognition of their inability to understand the mission of public libraries. Short of that, allow me to recommend the Last Week Tonight episode on libraries. It is simply disgraceful that such an issue would be considered amidst the nationwide pressure to ban books. Now the San Antonio Public Library System seeks to one-up this ban with silent bans against people of color and even of people who need the library system most. Please reconsider this pilot program and commit to keeping our public libraries open to and catering to the widest possible range of our community. From David Katapalos. To the best of my knowledge, the only incident of a library shooting happened 10 years ago at NLV's library, Alamo College. Thank you. It was a case of premeditated homicide by a former employee. It remains an isolated case. I don't believe it is necessary to have an on-duty armed police in a public library, as there has never been any such violence perpetuated in those community environments. From Jolene Garcia. I am concerned about what the move to install armed police officers at our city libraries. I'm wondering why an armed police officer is needed versus a security guard. With the police contract as it stands, we are incurring extremely high costs that I don't believe we can bear the expense of adding more. Furthermore, the public library is frequented by many marginalized populations: youth, migrant families, unemployed individuals, formerly incarcerated, majority of which are people of color. These groups are more likely to feel discomfort or hesitation about entering the building. I believe this is not appropriate for the population the library serves and will jeopardize the sense of belonging that is foundational to the public library. From Patricia Castillo. Please vote no to having security that is armed with weapons, loaded weapons in the library. So far this year, San Antonio Police has shot 11 people. This does not make people feel secure. People walking around with weapons in your presence while you're trying to enjoy the resources of the library make you feel uneasy, unsafe, and afraid. Work with community to find another way to deal with issues related to safety. People in a library setting are there to feel more comfortable, are there to enjoy the resources available, and to not feel afraid while there. From Arturo Ordoqui. I stand with Act 4 SA in saying no to armed cops in our libraries, and that SAPL include the community before the assessment phase begins. Libraries need to remain a welcoming space for all members of the community, and armed officers are not the answer for addressing safety when other methods should be evaluated and are available. From Karen Anzik. Regarding armed police in our public libraries, having frequently used the public library services from childhood through parenthood and now late life, I am strongly opposed to armed officers in the library. Besides it being counter to a peaceful, safe space, it is a waste of funds that should be allocated towards library services. books, activities for community, and the building. The over-militarized of the SA police have resulted in the deaths of too many unarmed people. They infiltration and trespass into schools, libraries, and other common places is unwanted. The culture of the police have overstepped. They are they intimidate, act judgmentally, and are misogynistic. The police has gone too far in ever expanding the double police forces, Bexar County and San Antonio. The high price to support them through every agency is denigrating to the quality of our city.
Grace Obregon. I'm commenting to express my opposition to having a San Antonio police officer in the Central Library. The population that will be targeted by having a police officer present would be better served by a social worker or a local nonprofit organization that works with the unhoused. SAPD receives so much more funding than local libraries, and it would be an absolute shame for this money to be used to fund a police officer instead of funding vital services that the library offers. Ed Munoz. The implementation of anything that even slightly resembles armed forces within community spaces is one of the most disposable things you can do to your constituents. It creates an atmosphere of disarray and hate, and quite frankly only aids in the division of your local masses. You as leaders of your community have a responsibility to all your constituents, including those who are houseless or unable to vote. You work for the people, not the other way around. And you doing things like these comes off as a direct sign to not trust your judgment when it comes to community matters. Do better, be better, but most importantly, get to know the folks around you who actually need these spaces. B. I am writing to express my disagreement with allowing armed SAPD officers to be in the Central Library. Police will not make our libraries safer. They will in fact make our libraries more dangerous. We know from study after study that the presence of any gun makes any mental health situation worse and increases aggressive thoughts and hostile actions. There are more effective ways that we can keep our library staff safe than making other populations less safe. A few that come to mind are hiring a full-time social worker or mental health worker for the Central Library, collaborating with organizations such as Corazon San Antonio or the city houseless outreach teams to get people the help they need. It would be a shame if our Central Library turned into a place that people are afraid to go in fear of getting arrested or being met with police violence. Laura Rios Ramirez. Our community deserves to have a voice before any assessment or pilot phases, including armed police, are implemented in our libraries. I am commenting today to say no to armed cops in our libraries before the library begins the assessment phase of the pilot program. As a community member, we demand the library include us in dialogue and decision-making. No armed police in our havens for learning and community resources. Alvaro Ramirez. No to cops in libraries. What's wrong with y'all? Michael David Hernandez. My name is Michael David Hernandez. I have spoken through online comments. I have spoken in person, and in doing so, I have seen some of your members roll their eyes as I spoke. I am employed, educated, and with the resources to take care of my declining relative because I now have the means and a degree that would not have been possible without the freedom at SAPL. I would like to reiterate that none of this would have been possible without the public resources SAPL provides. Maybe that's the problem, though. You think so high and mighty of yourself. Hayes, I'm looking at you. Not exclusively, though. You all have and will continue to have more innocent blood on your hands if you continue with these absurdities. As a reminder to the my money taxpayers, your money isn't even guaranteed. If police get a call that takes them from oppressing these marginalized communities, they will drop everything and leave. It's almost like it isn't about protection. Before I read the last one, I just wanted to comment that this one exceeded 300 words, so I will only be reading up to the 300 word count. Ananda T. Regardless of assaults that have happened at or around the library, which are unfortunate. The presence of an officer would only have made the situation worse. Officers respond to incidents and crimes, they don't stop them. The only difference is that person would either be assaulted and arrested by the officer in turn, or in an escalated situation, even seriously harmed or killed. We have to remember this. Officers escalate situations, including feelings of nervousness or PTSD in people. As someone who has not personally been incarcerated but has a family affected by incarceration, I get nervous when an officer is around. Will they be the vigilante officer who abuses their power against me or not? I am glad this program has paused for now, but I am upset that you once again have left out the community input piece in your assessment process. As you are using the School of Social Work for assessment, you should be inviting community to talk about their experience with police, their feelings on police in their libraries, and even asking them for solutions. Further, why won't you share your measures of assessment? What are you measuring? If no assaults happened in a time period, can you tie it to officer presence or other factors? For instance, SAPD said their hotspotting program was the reason for reduced crime in an area, but during that time period, violent crime was reduced across 204 other cities. They did not all have hotspotting policing efforts. We want you to take this situation and assessment as seriously as we do because we love our libraries and we value them as one of the last free spaces for so many of us. Police do not make us safer. If they did, we would be the safest country. And that's the end of the comments that were sent online.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go back to agenda item 1, which is to review and approve the minutes from the April 24th meeting. The minutes are available in your packet, and they were also emailed to you ahead of time. I will entertain a motion for approval.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a first from Andrea.
And I second Joanne.
And a second from Joanne. Any comments or discussion? So we can do a vote. We can just do a voice vote, I think, right?
I think so.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next we have the report from the library board chair. I'll keep this brief. I want to congratulate Ms. Harris on her recent reappointment to the library board of trustees. Very excited to have you serve with us. I met with the city manager regarding the Bexar County ILA on April 29th, and I also attended the Las Palmas community meeting on May 15th, 2024. And then last Saturday, I also attended the District 8 the HEAT event, and that was very informative and a great reminder the effects of climate change on our most vulnerable members of the community, especially as we're already starting to see like the temperatures approaching up to 100 degrees. Next, I'll ask trustees to provide updates on any of the library related activities. And start with Fernanda.
Yes, I went to early voting at the Dallas Library. I'm happy to see that there was quite a lot of people during early voting, so if you have not gone out to vote, please do so. And also, secondly, kind of like BKT, we did participate with Meals on Wheels and did delivered fans to homebound seniors. So this is a call, and as we all know, our libraries are also pooling sites to please check in on that elderly neighbor to make sure that they're okay with this heat. If they're on either the fans or pooling site, the libraries are also pooling sites, so always please remember that. Thank you. Joanne?
Okay, I attended the Cody's 40th anniversary, and it was well attended. Children everywhere. It was just, we had just such a nice time, and it was just very nice. And the whole Cody family, they took up maybe 2 rows in the back. And so they were large, a lot of small children. And I also attended on the same day the Pan-African Cultural Festival that they had at the Carver Branch Library. And it's an annual event, and I know they had at least 500 people there. They had the discussions on the inside.
And then they had, after that, they had outdoor tents. They had about 10, 12 different tents and stuff. It was just a very good family-oriented event. And I attended the Las Palmas branch bond project community meeting that they had at Memorial. And I attended the poetry.
Young Pegasus.
Oh, yeah, on Sunday. And that was my first time attending, and to see so many children from the age of 5 standing up to share their poems and poetry. It was just beautiful, just like a rainbow of children there. And I also saw on PBS, I saw Kathy with with Randy Beamer, with her session there, and that was very interesting, very delightful. I was so happy to see that. The other thing is that on June the 8th, the Friends of the Carver Branch Library, they're going to have a book festival, and that's going to be their Juneteenth celebration. And then on the 29th of June, this is going to be the second time that the Carver Branch Library is hosting the Historical Black College and University get-together, where all of the children, I hate to say children, the people that are going to be freshmen in college, that are going to HBCUs, they will meet there and try to network and connect and things like that. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you. Thank you.
Marianne?
Okay, excuse me. I attended at the Central Library the 5th anniversary of the MACRI Symposium, which stands for Mexican Americans Civil Rights Institute, and they had it on Friday, the May 17th, and Saturday, May 18th, and it was just really very informative, and it was just a great symposium. So I went for 2 days at Central, and then I went to the meeting at Memorial on, I think it was May 15th, for the Las Palmas Library. That's it.
This month is Maycember for me because of the end of year activities, school activities. So, and being out of town, but I was able to tune into the Las Palmas meeting, which was excellent, and I'm very excited to get that project on its next phase. And then I had neighbors who went to the Cody Library opening and just heard wonderful things about that. And I look forward to summer at SAPL.
I attended the Las Palmas community meeting, and just to echo Judy, excited to see us, moving forward with that project. And I also had the opportunity to meet with Councilwoman just to kind of update her on library things happening.
Thank you.
It feels like all I did was go to meetings. I attended the Executive Search Committee meeting, the Budget Committee meeting, the Facilities Committee meeting, and the Advocacy Committee meeting. I also went to the Cody 40th anniversary, and if you have not seen an entire branch staff singing CODY to the tune of YMCA, you haven't lived. I just have to tell you that. I also went to the Young Pegasus Awards ceremony, and I want to be very serious about this. If you want to feel better about the future, attend the Young Pegasus Poetry Awards. Those kids are absolutely amazing. They are serious, they are sensitive, they're funny, they're smart, and they're fantastic writers, and that's just an outstanding program. Our former Children's Services coordinator used to say that it's very rare for kids who are in the arts to be able to perform on a stage the way athletes or musicians or actors can. And the Young Pegasus Poetry Ceremony gives them that chance for that recognition. So it's an outstanding program. And then I attended the Oak Park Northwood Neighborhood Association meeting, just to give a brief update on libraries and let them know that I'm their District 10 representative.
I also, like Judy, I'm in the midst of end of year school events, so I was able to attend tune into the Las Palmas meeting, and it was nice because I could rewind back and make sure that I heard things correctly, and I really did appreciate all the positive feedback that we received, and also all the really informative questions, because there's things as committee members that we don't think about, that as much as Marianne can, there's other views that also come to us, so it was really nice to hear other people's thoughts and questions that, even from Just Freed, I was like, I didn't even think about asking that. So I really appreciate the turnout that happened at that meeting. I was also able to attend the Young Pegasus Awards, and Chris Sensi and Jennifer did an amazing job as MCs. Even when the mic went out, they rolled with the punches. I was able to sit with an amazing young woman who, she goes to the Young Women's Academy in middle school, 13, and she was extremely nervous to get up and read her poems. So one of the judges actually read it for her and mentioned that that poem had really stuck with her. And so she was very honored to be reading it. And as she was reading the poem, this young lady was tearing up. And just to hear her words through somebody else's voice, and she got really emotional, and you know, her mom put her arm on her. Her grandmother was just so proud and telling me her life story. And it's amazing what students from all walks of life can overcome and to put themselves out there. So I loved it, I enjoyed it. It is amazing. I look forward to next year.
Okay, thank you all for your updates. Next, we'll move on to a report from the interim library director. Thank you.
So we had a busy month. We had our staff in-service day on Friday, May 10th. And we thank the board again for approving some morning closures during the year so that we can have a staff in-service day. We're open to the public later in the day, but for the morning, we get together as teams and we participate in training, development. And so a big push this year for us is trauma-informed care certification so that we can make sure that the whole organization has those tools and resources. So we're moving towards that as an organization. As has been mentioned before, the SAPD at Central pilot program has ended. It ended on May 13th. And now we're partnering with the UTSA School of Social Work to develop an evaluation tool for the pilot, but then also to look at other best practices in safety and security for libraries. And more information will be shared with the board, of course, and with the community on that. A Young Pegasus event, which I know several people mentioned, and we're coming up on 100 years for that, so stay tuned. Cody Branch Library 40th anniversary was wonderful. We appreciated Ms. Harris and our Assistant City Manager David McCary, who's here tonight, for being on the program for us. Las Palmas Community Meeting on May 15th. The Macri Symposium that Joanne mentioned. And then on May 29th, we have an upcoming Office of Citizenship, Partnership, and Engagement event. So the Central Library will serve as venue for that event. And this is a series of events related to U.S. citizenship and immigration services. There's going to be some day-long engagements, meetings, and a naturalization ceremony as part of that event, as well as a meeting between Mayor Nierenberg and Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security, Eva Malona. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have the budget report. Gabby's going to provide us an update.
Hi, good afternoon, board members.
Acting Board Chair, Gabriella Rauschenberg, the Department Fiscal Administrator for the library. Here tonight just to give you a very brief overview of the library's operating budget as of the end of April. So 58% of the fiscal year has elapsed. Bottom line, we're at 57% spent, which includes encumbrances, or 55% without them. Overall, we're still on track. There have been no major changes since my last report, so I'm keeping it very brief today. We still expect to remain within budget for the fiscal year. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them now.
Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you.
Next, a report from the Executive Committee. The Executive Committee did meet on May 14th to set the agenda for this meeting. And next, report from the Advocacy Committee. Judy?
We did meet on Monday, May 20th, and we just spoke about gearing up for the budget input process.
Okay, thank you. Next, a report from the Budget Committee.
Yes, we did meet. I don't know who's going to give the staff is
Haley
going to
will.
give the report.
Okay, Haley's going to give us her report. Thank you.
Good evening, Haley Holmes, Interim Assistant to the Library Director. The Budget Committee met on May 1st and has one item on tonight's agenda. During that meeting, Gabby gave an overview of the budget calendar of the milestones that we have to meet in the future, go all the way up to budget adoption on September 19th. And then Kathy Donelon presented two proposed improvements that were created by staff using the board's budget prioritization exercise and top strategic plan initiatives. And that was due to the city on May 15th. So later in this meeting, Kathy will present an update on the fiscal year 25 budget development process, and she'll speak more about those proposed improvements that were submitted to the city. And the next budget committee meeting will be on June 5th.
Thank you. A report from the Facilities Committee.
So the Facilities Committee did meet.
Good afternoon, Jessica Zarita, Interim Assistant Director, and I am going to provide an update from the Facilities Committee. First, project updates, the Brook Hollow Ranch Library parking lot expansion. We previously provided some information regarding this project, and I'm here to share that the project is moving forward. We are scheduled to begin construction June 3rd. You may be aware that the recent election that included Bexar County Appraisal District candidates, which is a new seat, recently took place, and so there was a runoff. And so the runoff will be taking place starting June 3rd, which is the same day that we're starting construction. We've met with the Bexar County elections, and we because it's one item on the ballot, we feel confident that we'll be able to manage both serving as a voting site at Brook Hollow and also the construction beginning. So we will be monitoring it very closely. The Public Works team knows our sensitivity for elections and making sure that we're an accessible location. We were not anticipating this election, so we will keep an eye on it, and we don't expect any issues from that. We will, of course, have developed our communication plan. We're going to make sure that there's signage at the location and folks are aware of the activity and what that activity is. So we're very excited for this improvement. It's much needed additional parking at that library location. The branch library re-roofing project just received an update today. The project is moving on schedule. Everything is progressing. We are projecting to open up June 10th. Currently, the library is closed for this full roof project, and folks are being redirected to other library locations and nearby locations. So we are moving along smoothly. It is a complete replacement of the roof. The HVAC project for the Johnston Branch Library kicked off or began May 20th, Monday. So we officially closed that library location. We are providing library services nearby at the Miller's Pond Community Center that's working with the Parks Department. So we're happy again to partner with the Parks Department, and we're very grateful for the partnership with the Parks Department because they are always willing to accommodate us and work with us when we close locations and provide interim service. We are we do have a communication plan. We are starting with the HVAC project. Once that is done and the building has climate control, then we will proceed with the other project, which is interior innovation. And our library Texana bond project is moving forward. City Council approved the construction contract on May 2nd. Our library team has had a kickoff meeting last week, and we are finalizing details, working with the contractor to begin the construction phase of the project. So we are very eager to get this project rolling. And those are the updates from the committee. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions on any of those items?
I just thought of one thing that I didn't even think about during the facilities meeting because Johnston hadn't happened yet. But I know schools are coming to a close either this week or next week, and then we hit with summer reading. Is there a way that we have a flyer or something that maybe the districts can put on their websites or distribute through their library services so that the students know, hey, go to Miller's Pond, it's still down the road, it's actually closer to some of the other schools in that neighborhood that Johnston feeds into?
We can definitely reach out to the school districts and see what we can do with them. Thank you.
I had one question for you, Jessica. First, I want to +1 Andrea's comments. I think that's a great suggestion. And also, if we could use the District 4 Councilwoman's office to help, like she probably has a newsletter, if we can get the word out about the interim service. And maybe you're already doing that.
And they are I spoke with the chief of staff last week and sent them information. They're doing a great job helping us.
Okay, that's great to know. And then for District 5, the Bazan project, I just had a quick clarification. I know it's a very short closure for that insurance claim. I saw that there was no interim no interim service for that project. So what happens online if you try to say you want to pick up a hold in Bazan? Is it removed from the list during this period?
It's routed to a different library location. So and we communicate with the patrons so that they know.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a report from the naming committee. Josie Martinez, who's the chair, is not here. But I understand they did not meet this period, is that correct? Okay, Carla's giving me the yes, thank you. And just public service announcements for the rest of you. We will be directing the naming committee to have public meetings for the Las Palmas Plaza and the Texana naming opportunity. So those will be coming up sometime this summer. Next is a report from the Ad Hoc Board Policy Committee, and the chair, Paul Stahl, is not here, but I understand that the committee met on May 2nd, and I don't see Dale. Oh, you are here. Is there an update, Dale, for that?
No.
Okay.
It just that the committee did meet and they're out.
Just because we're live streaming.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I stepped on someone's foot on the way. I'm so sorry. So the committee did meet. They're working on the policy with Jennifer and Crescencia about children in the library. It will be a policy to replace the current policy that's called unattended children. We're going to expand that considerably. So really it was a conversation. There's no action item coming to you. The next policy they're going to be looking at will be the campaign sign policy. So that will be the next one coming out to give a little more time. We're starting on this children in the library, like just starting over, like we're not renovating, we're building new.
Okay, thank you, Dale. Next, we have a report from the Ad Hoc Executive Search Committee. Judy?
We did meet on May 9th, and it was just an update of where we are in the process of finalizing the executive search firm.
Okay. And will we be providing an update in executive session?
I don't believe so, or you know, okay, probably a brief update.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a report from the Ad hoc ILA Committee, and I am the chair of that. The committee did meet on May 14th and will also provide an update when we enter executive session. Item number 14 is a report from the Friends of the San Antonio Public Library, and I understand that John Costello, the president, was unable to attend today. So I'll go on to item number 15, which is a report from the San Antonio Public Library Foundation. And Jessica, okay, I didn't see you in the crowd. Thank you, Jessica. Yes. Jessica Rivera will give us a report.
Yeah. We had our kickoff for Over the Edge last Wednesday at the office. It was really well attended. We have a few people who have signed up already to start fundraising to Rappel. And as of Wednesday, we have our first official Rappeller who has raised the minimum amount. So it's really exciting to get the ball rolling on that event this year. This summer, we are planning on reaching out to event sponsors and, of course, continue promoting for Rappellers to start fundraising. So if you are all interested in rappelling off the Thompson 20 stories, visit our website under the events tab. You'll get more information about rappelling as well as event sponsor information. And the second update, we got a notification that our grant application for Lawrence Centers to the Dollar General Literacy Foundation was approved. So we are expecting to receive that funding, and as soon as that funding is available, we'll let SAPL know so that you all can request it and do what needs to be done with that money. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for the great news and for the great work. I appreciate the foundation support. Next, we have a staff report for the Forest Hills Branch Library, and it's Elma. Okay, Elma's already here.
Good evening. I'm Edmanito Rodriguez. I'm the Public Services Administrator over this lovely branch. I would probably rappel off this building. No. Forest Hills is near and dear to my heart because this was the location that provided me my part-time job when I was trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I fell in love with libraries and figured out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. In between all of that, the colors on the walls have changed. Interesting history. This location can say that it had 2 renovations back to back due to Snowmageddon. Yeah. In between all of that, the folks here, many of them in this room, did a wonderful job of just putting us back together because it came from a very heartbreaking place. But one of those individuals that put it back together was Mary Naylor. Mary Naylor is the manager for the Forest Hills Branch Library. She has the distinction, I think I got something wrong.
No, you didn't.
She has the distinction of being the first librarian who was hired for teen services specifically, and that happened in 2008. She became the manager shortly after that. And I can't say enough about her because she is one of those individuals that puts people first. She leads with heart. She is compassionate and has done a wonderful job of making sure that the team stayed connected while they were dispersed and the renovation was occurring. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Mary Naylor.
Good afternoon. Well, I need to advance this a little bit.
And can you also adjust the other microphone so it's a little closer?
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that work for everybody? Okay, great. I'm so very glad to be here this afternoon to tell you a little bit about our branch. It's truly a privilege to stand here to share the things that have transpired over the past few years. Before we get into the slides, I want to share a little bit of background story for the Forest Hills branch. In the last few years, we've faced a series of challenges, including the COVID pandemic shutdown, a planned renovation funded by the 2017-2022 bond program, and the recovery from the aftermath of Winter Storm Uri, which resulted in extensive damage to our newly renovated building and forced the library into an extended closure. During that time, while crews mitigated the damage, library staff continued to serve the public through interim services at the Gilbert Garza Community Center. It was there that we made numerous connections with a part of our community that had previously been out of reach. While construction crews repainted, rebuilt, and repaired, my staff worked diligently to return the finishing touches to the branch. Through it all, we never lost sight of our goal, which was opening our doors again to the public. If you can see the photo here, this is a palette of boxes. And in those boxes is our opening day collection. The day the library collection was finally delivered was truly the best day ever. Staff eagerly awaited the chance to open that first box. It was a momentous day, one that we've been looking forward to for many months. The process of unboxing our collection was a labor of love. It was a perfect opportunity to rebuild our team connections, and we appreciated the opportunity to have a hand in personally putting the library back together again. Our grand reopening was held on March 18th, 2023. It was an exciting time for us all as we welcomed the community back to the library. The library was full of familiar faces of patrons who had eagerly awaited the return of their neighborhood library. There are many new features added to the library during the renovation. Most notably were the improvements to the meeting spaces. The new Collaborate space has proven to be extremely popular offering as patrons have discovered many uses, such as for virtual meetings, study groups, and the occasional job interview. In fact, a few months ago, a young man walked through the door who had frequented the library as a teenager in the late 2000s. I was still a teen librarian at that point. He was dressed very smartly. And I said to him, "Oh, what are you doing here today?" And he said, "I have an interview today with a coach from UT Austin football team. They're interviewing me to be on their coaching team." And he used our library to conduct that interview. And I was so very proud, not only of him, especially of him, but also that the library could be that place for him to come. When he didn't have another place to do that interview, he brought him here. Along with the meeting room meeting space enhancements, which are supporting the meeting today, we also made improvements to the newly named Betty Kelso Children's Area, expanded the teen area to accommodate more seating, and expanded collection, and the addition of our new vinyl LP collection. Almost every element of the library was updated to provide an overall impact that would surely justify the length of our closure. These are a few shots of our new spaces, including the Connect area with the new computers, our teen area, which is reserved solely for teens so that they can experience the library in their own individual ways. Our Betty Kelso area, if you have a chance to go take a look at the beautiful wall art, it's very creative, designed by our communications team. And also the Collaborate space with its embedded technology. So the room we are in now is the Maria Elder Hernandez meeting room, named after Maria Elder Hernandez, who was a civil rights activist who worked for the improvement of civil and educational and economic opportunities for the Mexican American community here in San Antonio and also across the country. This room is also used for children's programming. Led by children's librarian Ana Menchaca, we offer a variety of opportunities for children and their families to engage in early literacy programming. Our Baby Time is a new offering that has proven to be very popular with our new parents and caregivers in the community. Teen Time, led by our teen librarian Shannon Prukop, allows our teens to just strengthen their ties with the library. Our teens not only participate in the programs, but they are part of the planning and the creation of the programs, and they enjoy this time together where they can form new friendships and express their own individuality. Our adult programming includes a variety of monthly events for adults in all stages of life. Our senior programs include the Craft and Chat Book Club and monthly field trip by the members of the Doris Griffin Senior Center, which is right down the road. We do a monthly book club where I go and chat with them every month too. We also offer gaming nights, writers groups, and health-focused programming. In order to successfully service the outreaches of our community, we partner with several local organizations and city departments to expand on our offerings. here are just a few of the organizations that we partner with. And as you all know, the library staff is the heart of our operation. I work with a very diverse staff. Each of the individuals here bring something very unique to the table. Many of them, at least 4 of them, have over 20 years of experience. So when our community comes into this building, they see somebody, they see a familiar face. They see somebody who's eager to help them just get a little bit further down the path. They offer windows, mirrors, and doors for these patrons. So someone eager to lighten the path on their individual journey. So in closing, I'd like to express my appreciation for the admin team that supported the branch throughout the challenges of these past few years, and who most importantly celebrated our successes with us. And to the trustees, thank you for your continued support.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that update. That was lovely and a beautiful branch. Even beautiful, more beautiful than the first renovation, I can say for sure. I think Judy probably has seen this happen, but I also spent quite a bit of time here with my kids in Forest Hill, and they enjoyed the children's program. I think it was like children/teen programming that was done, and one of the memories that I have imprinted on my mind, which is why I mentioned Judy, is that there was a giveaway for like a SAPL shirt one day at an event, and she was just following that library services person all around the building. If the lady who won isn't here, I'll take it. So I have very fond memories of the old look and feel of Forest Hill, but this is definitely a much needed improvement. So congratulations on a really wonderful branch. Next, we'll get a staff report on the San Antonio Public Library's Summer with SAPL program. Cynthia coming?
I am. Okay. I'll start by saying that I'll be using this to illustrate some of the things about our upcoming summer with SAPL. And we have one for each of the board members when we end the evening. So you may have noticed by the calendar and the weather that summer is upon us. Another thing that might tell you that it's about to be summer is the appearance of things like paletas in our graphics and promotions. And as we do every year, the San Antonio Public Library has big plans for the summer. Our goal is to offer people of all ages opportunities to read, learn, explore, and connect. And the program begins June 1st and runs through July 31st. Keeping in mind the unique needs of our community, each of the age-based teams has developed their own version of Summer with the San Antonio Public Library. For adults, any adult can stop in to any San Antonio Public Library branch starting June 1st and ask about the program for adults and pick up a limited edition Libraries Are My Happy Place mini tote bag while supplies last. Adults will have a variety of opportunities to try something new, to check out in the library, or rediscover an old favorite either in person at a branch, like books, audiobooks, DVDs, music CDs, the ever-popular vinyl collection, or digitally through Libby, Canopy, Craftsy, or many of the other library's digital resources. Adults are also invited to attend a library program, and a couple highlights for this summer would be the Dig It gardening series with Bear County Master Gardeners, which will continue through June 10th, and 2 Summer with SAPL craft programs, faux watercolors, and dreamsicle bath salt. I think I'm going to go to that dreamsicle bath salt program. They'll also continue to have opportunities throughout the summer, like computer classes and craft programs, jewelry making, book clubs, fitness classes, the things we're used to seeing throughout the year. Teens are invited to take charge of their summer experience at the library through teen-led activities ranging from music production, book exploration, tech discovery, art creation, video gaming, and more. And the tradition of using teen-created art for the Teen Summer T-shirt continues with this fabulous image that you see here. The tradition has expanded to include runner-up art submissions made into buttons for teens to collect. And your bags will include the little informational card and the sticker. Unfortunately, most of us in the room are not eligible for the T-shirt. You have to be a teen to get a T-shirt.
What if your college mascot is an owl?
That's a great design.
That's cute.
Yeah.
For children, they can kick off their summer of reading and fun by picking out a brand new book from any San Antonio Public Library location. And the fun continues with special guest performers, weekly story times, and opportunities to build and create. And the featured guest performer schedule will be in your bag as well. We also invite children to pick up one of these punch-out cards and write or draw something about how they are planning to have fun with the San Antonio Public Library. And then this can be displayed at the library location where they turn it in. We will also have a returning series of Paletta character bookmarks, new characters with corresponding suggested reading lists that will be released weekly. So you can collect them all by visiting the library every week. So as you might imagine, Summer with the San Antonio Public Library is a comprehensive team effort involving everyone from facilities, shelving and delivery, collection development, our public-facing staff in their many roles. Planning and preparation begins as early as September or October every year, and we'll be working through the end of the month to finish getting everything, the supplies and materials, out to each location. I also want to give special thanks to our communications team who come up with the delightful graphic elements and do such an excellent job of promoting the program for us. And of course, we wouldn't be able to offer such an excellent level of engagement opportunities without the support of our Library Foundation, our friends, and you. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Cynthia about the summer program?
My favorite part is the balletas when I go to the brunch libraries and they're all decorated all differently. Yeah. Those are so cute. Yeah.
I have a question on your adult programming for the summer. What is the age group for adults?
18 and up?
Yeah. Yes, 18 all the way up, and we offer activities for all adults, including older adults, throughout the summer.
Will there be like a special category for older adults?
So we haven't specifically pulled out older adults for the overall. So we haven't specifically called out older adults for the overall summer program, but we are very intentional about making sure that we offer programs for adults, older adults year-round, including over the summer, and we'll be doing that this summer.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. It's very, very creative. I love it all. It's very creative.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for that update. I'm really a perfect teaser. I want to know about this dragon backstory. But I will wait until the release of that bookmark to find out more about them. Thank you so much. Next, we are going to agenda item number 8, receive an update on the fiscal year 2025 budget development process and take the appropriate action. And I see Kathy's already making her move up to the podium.
Let's see if I can not step on Jessica.
Okay, this will be very brief. We met with the budget committee earlier this month. It was unclear if the departments were going to be asked to submit improvements because The budget outlook is austere, but we were asked to submit improvements, so we visited with the budget committee and got support of what you see here. The one thing that changed since budget committee is we presented to the budget committee 2 basic improvements. One was staffing and one was collection. And that was aligned with our strategic initiatives and our strategic plan. However, the budget office asked, no, you got to do it by your programmatic areas. So that's why you see up here 4. We had our first budget meeting today with the budget director. All 4 are in the packet so far, so it looks like we'll be able to talk about all 4. So I just share that because that was a little bit of a change from budget committee.
Can you clarify what the change is? The same options are presented, they're just in a different order because they have to be divided by the program?
That's right. So when the budget committee saw it, all the staffing
Was combined
into one. So security staffing, the one position for fiscal support, and then the optimized staffing coverage floater pool was one.
Okay, and so you're basically taking that one line item and providing more detail
That's
to
right.
comply with the budget office.
To comply with the budget office
Thank you
by
for that
program.
clarification.
Thank you for asking that question and helping me clarify that. So what you see here is the top priority is the security staffing. This is in-house security staffing to provide coverage for the library system of both overnight hours, because we have our in-house security staff respond to any alarms that happen at branches, and then also coverage during our public hours of supervision to both the contract security, in-house security, and then if something is an incident where we need to engage additional resources and document the incident, that staffing would assist with that. So that's the first one. The second one, as you'll recall, we actually got complete funding for our 5-year collection development plan. It took more than 5 years, but we got that finished, and that was to get us up to median per capita expenditure against our peers, so kind of putting us in the middle. This is taking that next step to aspirational, so it's a request for $2.1 million for our collection development budget. About $1 million of that is one-time funding to get a perpetual license for the local newspapers, the historical archive of that, but it's a perpetual license we pay once, and then the community has access to that digitally, of newspapers from the 1850s up through about 1990, which is where our modern collection picks up. So that is half of that. The other half is for 4 additional products to kind of round out our databases, and then also about $800,000 to increase our general availability of collection to help with wait time for popular materials and our holds ratio, which just means, 3 people ask for a title and then we order that title, an additional copy, basically. So that's that one, and I apologize if I'm going fast. I'm trying to be respectful of the time. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Fiscal office, this is a shared service for the city, but obviously we're very reliant on our fiscal office. They do many, many things, and they do have a pretty heavy workload. They've needed an additional staff member for at least 10 years. And so we did include that one position to assist with fiscal office support. It would primarily be analysis. So often we find that we need a resource that can take on a special project, like look at our payment mix. How many people are using credit cards? How many people are paying cash? Could we do our systems better? And so that would be a resource for that type of work.
Is it normal, I have a question on that one, is it normal for like the customer, you're the customer basically to the fiscal office in this case, to pay for that, or does the city
does the city account for that in their headcount?
No, so the fiscal office is in the library's budget, and that's how all the shared services are for the general fund departments. So if we need an additional resource in the fiscal office, we would make the request, and it would be in our budget.
Does that, does that 70,000 include the benefits and things like that?
Yes, it includes everything associated with the position.
And it's a full-time position?
It's a full-time position, yes, ma'am. And the job title is fiscal analyst. And then the last one is a floater pool of 9 positions. This is public facing. This is primarily for the branches. And so we are staffed thinly to our schedule. So we're kind of staffed like no one ever has to be out sick or, you know, go on vacation or be in training, that type of thing. And so a more efficient way to provide better coverage for absences and that type of thing is a floater pool rather than trying to shore up each branch staff team. So this idea is to have 9, and actually all of these positions are full-time, have a contingent of 9 positions that we could use for that coverage. So for example, if we had a branch manager out on long-term leave, we would have someone who could substitute for that branch manager. The budget committee asked some really good questions. Well, what if they're not needed for covering gaps? And so this team would be used, for example, for things like we have, as you know, many different procedures. We have library administrative directives. These are all really important things for the staff to know, you know, what do we do, how do we do it, what are our standards. And we have a great backlog of those materials to update, so this team could be pulled in. Or, for example, Crescencia just processed and helped sort a whole lot of books for the summer reading program, for summer with SAPL. And so this team could also assist with those type of special projects. So all in all, the total request for the top 2 priorities, and we just split it this way because in case we only can move forward with 2, it would be 2.3 million, and then these additional improvements, 515,000, and then if all 4 went forward, it would be 2.8 million. And then a total of 16 full-time positions.
Okay, so it's not 2.3 plus 2.8, it's a total of 2.8.
That's correct.
2.3 plus 515. Thank you.
Any other questions? And then I'll entertain a motion to accept the budget development improvements as they've been presented.
I move that we accept the what is that? The development, the budget improvement by the programs in priority order that will be given to the city.
Second.
2 seconds? Thanks, Beth. So we have a first from Beth and I'm sorry, we have a first from Joanne and a second from Beth. That's why Nicholas takes the notes, not me. And is there any discussion or any additional comments before we take a vote? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next we'll review and, thank you, Kathy. Next we'll review and consider the approval of the proposed placement of public art at Las Palmas, and this item will be introduced by Jessica.
Hi, good afternoon. I am here to introduce our next item. In addition to the updates that the Facilities Committee received, they also heard a presentation regarding the Las Palmas Branch Library Public Art Project, and they took action to approve the placement of the public art. So we have with us representatives from the City of San Antonio's Art and Culture Department, who will be providing a presentation about the placement, the proposed placement for the public art, and be here to answer your questions. I will tell you that it is always a pleasure to work with our partner department. They're very responsive. We're always working collaboratively together. And so it is my pleasure to introduce our partners with Public Arts.
Thank you, Jessica. Hello, my name is Renee Telemontes. I'm a public art project manager with the Department of Arts and Cultures. We have identified Las Palmas Library in District 5 as an opportunity for public art as part of the 2022 bond program. So I'm here to present, as Jessica mentioned, the public art location for the project. We worked with the library and the architects to identify the best location for the artwork, which I'll go into a little bit more here, and we'll take a look at our project schedule as well. As you know, the Las Palmas Library renovation includes an expansion to create a new community room here at the front of the building. Here on the right, there we go. You can see the plan view of that expansion, and then the photo on the left shows the current conditions of the entry courtyard. And this is that area that will be enclosed with the glass walls to create that new community room. And then here's the rendering. We are recommending this area that's highlighted in pink as an opportunity for sculptural artwork with the potential to include the columns as well, which is in the teal color here, you can see. This is the general location, or more the boundaries with which the artwork will be. So we want to give the artists the freedom to design according to the space that's available to them, but we'll continue to work with the architects to ensure that the artwork is designed with the architecture and the landscaping plans in mind. So this location will make a really big impact not only for the visitors to the library, as it will welcome all those patrons that are entering the building. It'll also be visible from inside this new community room and even from the street. So as I mentioned, we'll be working with the library and the architects on this. We'll continue to work with them through our design process. So the artwork will really feel seamless and integral to this new expansion and the improvements to the building and the landscape here. Here you can see a visual of our public art process, which includes 5 major checkpoints indicated by these black arrows here, in which we engage with the community and our stakeholders for updates and feedback from the beginning to the end of our project. So we invite the community to inform everything from the inspiration of the artwork to the artists who are selected for the project. We ask for feedback through our design phase, and then finally we invite them to join us in celebrating the completion of the project with the dedication of the artwork. Here is a look at our schedule for the Las Palmas Public Art Project. We will start with community engagements coming up here in June with a survey and a community input meeting, and that's to gather feedback on the artworks, themes specifically, and any inspiration for the artist. We'll then move into artist selection to be completed this fall, which will include an artist selection panel made up of stakeholders and community members. Prior to starting any design on the project, we'll schedule an artist meet and greet and invite stakeholders and community to get to know the artist. This also gives the artist an opportunity in turn to get to know the community and ask questions a little bit further about what they're looking for in the artwork. Design should be completed by the end of summer of 2025. And then we'll give the community an opportunity to review the concept design and then again at the final design. And then finally, fabrication and installation will wrap up in early 2026.
And just to reemphasize that the public art installation will work in concert with any improvements to the landscape in that area. So there will be, we'll work together to make sure whatever is put in as landscaping is considered as part of the art, so and vice versa. Also, we are already coordinating regarding public participation, public feedback, And of course, the facilities committee will continue to be updated, as well as the library trustees, as everything is progressing. And so the requested action before the board is to accept the recommendation from the facilities committee on the location for public art at the Las Palmas Branch Library.
We can entertain a motion. Anybody want to make a motion for this?
I'll move to accept the recommendation from the Facilities Committee on the location for public art at the Las Palmas Library.
I second.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Fernanda, for the second. Any discussion?
Could you?
Go ahead.
Could you remind us of the budget for this project?
Yes, the budget is $300,000.
Thank you.
And that's everything designed through fabrication installation.
And this is just a side note, at the Las Palmas input meeting, somebody asked a really good question about the artist selection. And I don't know if you could just remind us on how an artist could apply for that?
Yes, we have a pre-qualified list of artists who apply that's open every year. So it'll be open this fall, I believe. And so they would apply to be, these are for professional artists who would apply to be on the list. And then there's a group of panelists who review all those applicants. And there's a made up of art experts and community members who will review all those. They then recommend the approved applicants to our governing body, the Arts Commission, and then that will then go to council for approval.
Right, and I know the councilwoman's office had said that they would work with the community to try to get those who don't have access or the ability to apply because there's a lot of great artists on the west side.
Yes,
So,
it is an online application.
Yeah.
But we've made lots of efforts to get the word out as much as possible and give opportunities for artists to have an in-person meeting with us, or if they need access to fill out the application, we're here to help them with that.
I think, I just have a comment. I think it was brought up that we wanted to kind of include the high schools in the area. There's a lot of very good artists in the high schools. I think that was one of the issues that were brought up. I'm not sure if we can do anything with that. And also, your artist, you say that new people apply every year, is that right?
Yes.
And so the old ones stay on this long list, or how does that work?
Once you're on the list, you're available to be on the list for 3 years. So you don't have to reapply every year.
So I have a question. You said approved and professional artist.
Yes.
What does your governing body consider a professional artist? What are the requirements that you're looking for?
We look at kind of their portfolio of work, their experience, but they also self-identify as an emerging public artist, so they can come in without any public art experience at that point, or an established public artist as well. So it's really the artist who is determining
if they're professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be possible to have something like a sort of like a pre-bid meeting at a library in the district to give people that information and help them possibly even get online since you're at the library to fill out that application?
We held, this past year, we held an in-person meeting at the Mission Branch Library.
Okay.
So thank you all for letting us use the space.
So I noticed on the slide that had all the different kind of, yes, that one more. No, forward, sorry.
The checkpoints?
Yes, the checkpoints.
Oh, yeah.
So I counted 5 well, technically 4 checkpoints. Does that mean for community meetings during that time? Or let's say there's a lot of feedback, a lot of participation for one, so we may have to go back and have another kind of community checkpoint. Can that be added to, or is it for points for community input?
No, so in any area, each project could be a little bit different. So it depends on where the project is and what the community's like in that area. So it doesn't mean just one meeting or one kind of touch point with a stakeholder at that point. We're just looking at kind of who are the main stakeholders and who's the community and what's the best way to reach them. So it could be more meetings, it could be more resources or advertising online for things. We do a lot of neighborhood association meetings too, so it really varies by project. But there's always opportunity if we see a need to add an extra meeting or add extra time in our schedule to make sure we're covered.
Okay, looks like we've answered all the questions or asked all the questions we need to ask. Okay, good. So we'll go ahead and take a vote, and I'm going to do another voice for you. Is that fine? All those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your update. And also want to thank Andrea, Joanne, Josie, Mary Ann, and Beth, Facilities Committee, for fielding a lot of questions and digging into a lot of the items around upcoming and recently started projects, because that makes it a lot easier for the board. And thank you, Jessica and Kathy, also for coordinating those. The next item on the agenda is to review and consider approval for the revised project scope for the Las Palmas Branch Library bond project.
So first of all, yay. Okay, you know very well what the scope of this project is. So this is just a recap of the scope of the project. We are heading into phase 2. Tonight is the step for the board to approve some add backs if you so choose. So you know that it's basically touching every square foot of the existing branch and adding the great community room at the front of the building. This is the additional funding from two outside parties. So the first, and I want to make sure I clarify this because I made an error before, is $250,000 from HEB. Full stop. It's HEB. So that is an added resource now. That is for the naming of the plaza area. So that's a whole public process that will go forward, you know, according to the board's direction. The second piece is the $135,000 congressional appropriation that was facilitated through the U.S. Representative Castro's office. So this is the summary of what we're recommending to the board tonight. This is what we showed at the May 15th community meeting. We got some positive feedback there, and then we're bringing it forward as the next step. The Facilities Committee, of course, looked at this at their meeting. So the 3 add backs that we believe, well, not believe, we will add back if you approve it, are these 3 items. So the solar shade system, the meeting room support and storage spaces for the existing meeting room, and then the landscape irrigation and decorative lighting at the front of the building. These items on the right are the ones that we are not recommending at this time, and we just give a brief description of why that is for each. As you know, there's 2 pieces that are really dependent on the fire system, and so we went with the firewall versus the full building sprinkler system, which is a big, you know, enhancement to value of the project. And so these 2 changes would basically require us to reverse that, and there's not resources to do so. This one was more of an aesthetic thing in the meeting room with the wood acoustical ceiling, but it's quite expensive, about $500,000. So we found a different way to accomplish that sound control that we think is attractive. And then the inclusive restroom, which is definitely still desired, but we feel like of all the opportunities, that might be the one that could be a future project if there was maybe a fundraising effort. So those are the ones that we are not recommending. This is just a reminder about the solar shade system.
I feel like we've seen these slides so many times.
Yeah, you should have. And we got into equinoxes and solstices and all of that.
I'm so glad though somebody asked about the fall in
Yeah.
the meeting, because I would never have known that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would have said like, well, what's this thing? But that was cool.
I think we all got a lesson, for sure. And I was joking saying we didn't show the eclipse on this slide. So this is showing the landscape, irrigation, and decorative lighting plan. So this was as originally designed, so it's a full add back of that. And then this is just shown on the floor plan. There's not a rendering, but it's this area right here adjacent to the existing meeting room. That will be storage for tables and chairs, as well as a support space for the meeting room, including a sink. And, you know, just so you can make coffee and have a little bit of support space for the meeting room. So that's the third add back. And then these are just progress photos. Well, that's a rendering. But just so you can see where we are with the end of phase one. So this is real. This isn't a rendering.
But, sorry, Kathy, I'm gonna focus back. Can you go back to the slide with the side-by-side? Because the action item is required for that, and then you can show the other.
Oh, okay.
You can show the other
Yes, ma'am.
visuals. So I'm gonna ask for, someone wants to make a motion to consider to take action to approve the revised project scope. And Kathy will put it, yeah, thank you, perfect. So there's the action item right there, and it's for the 3 items that we want to bring back in. That was in the 3, in that side-by-side slide.
So I motion to accept the revised project scope for the Las Palmas Branch Library as presented.
Thank you.
I second.
Carla, you seconded? Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions or clarifications? Okay, let's take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, thank you all very much. And Kathy, now you can show.
Okay, I'm sorry to go backwards like this, but I don't have any other way to do it. So just very briefly, this is just progress photos on phase 1, which is complete. And so this shows the main circulation area. Another view of the main area, you can kind of see the stacks. This is the connect area. Of course, we don't have the computers in yet, that'll come later, but it'll be a complete technology refresh of the computer area. The teen area, so a dedicated improved teen space, and the children's area. And I'm sorry, one more. Learn at SAPL. So this is an additional Learn Center. This is brand new to the branch.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you. It's exciting to see that progress. Next, okay, thank you. Next, we're gonna receive an update regarding the interlocal agreement, but in order to do so, we will enter into executive session. So, I'm going to read the statement. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library will begin its executive session pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel matters, on the 22nd day of May, 2024, at 6:23 p.m. Thank you all for attending.
Would it be possible to turn
Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library has completed its executive session on the 22nd day of May 2024 at 7:11 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library will now resume its open session. No action was taken. Got a friendly reminder from staff that there is, it's city budget survey time, so fill out this card, scan the QR code, or call 311, or you can go to SASpeakup.com and provide your input. We would love to see number 9, libraries, as one of your top 4 choices. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Joanne.
Second.
And a second from Beth. Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
Great. I know. Thank you.
Great 11 minutes. Thank you.